Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that helps you cut through all that noise, and get straight to what really matters in the tech that's changing everything around us.
hmm
And if you've ever felt maybe a bit buried under information, or maybe just frustrated trying to get a new AI tool to actually do what you want it to do,
Yeah, I think we've all been there.
then you know exactly what we mean. So today we're going to tackle that head on.
We are. We're diving into AI, artificial intelligence, and specifically a tool that's really, shaking things up. ChatGPT,
Right.
huge potential there. And this is the key bit, that power. You only really unlock it if you know how to talk to it properly.
And that skill, prompt engineering.
It's the one, prompt engineering.
So that's exactly our mission today. We're doing a deep dive into a guide called ChatGPT Prompts Mastering, a complete guide to mastering effective prompts. It's by Christian Brown, who's an artificial intelligence consultant and the founder of EasyMasterAI.com.
And this deep dive, it's actually brought to you by EasyMasterAI.com.
So think of this as like your shortcut.
Exactly. We're digging through this guide, pulling out the really surprising insights, the practical tips for mastering these prompts.
Yeah.
We want to help you get beyond just basic questions and really start using AI in a more powerful way.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning, the foundation. Everyone's heard of ChatGPT. There's so much buzz.
Oh, yeah.
But beyond that initial hype, what's really fundamental about how it's built that, directly tells us how we should be talking to it.
Right. Good question. And the book dives straight in.
Yeah.
So ChatGPT, launched by OpenAI, November 2022. It's built on these things called large language models, LLMs.
Okay.
Specifically, the GPT 3.5 family.
Yeah.
Uses supervised reinforcement learning, technical stuff. But for us, for people wanting to write good prompts, the key is that these models, they aren't just glorified search engines.
Right.
Their whole structure means they need precise context, your prompts. They're literally the steering wheel for this massive engine.
So if you don't give it that context,
It's like asking a top chef to cook something good, but not telling them what ingredients you have or even what kind of food you like. You might get something, but probably not what you hoped for.
that context point feels huge. And the book, it does mention how quickly it got popular because its answers can be so detailed, so articulate.
It can be, yeah.
But, and this seems important, it also flags that big drawback right away. Uneven factual accuracy. That feels like a really critical thing to know up front.
Oh, absolutely. Knowing its limits is just as vital as knowing what it can do.
Yeah.
So how does this whole process work, this contextual thing? Well, high level,
Yeah.
you type in some text, a question, a command, whatever.
Include a prompt.
Your prompt, exactly.
Yeah.
The ChatGPT system takes that, analyzes it using its machine learning algorithms, and then it predicts and generates what it thinks is the best response, sends it back to you as text.
And it's not just a one and done thing. It builds, right? It's a conversation.
Precisely. You can add more text, refine your request, ask follow-ups. The system keeps analyzing, keeps responding. It builds this dynamic conversation. And this is where the book really hammers home its main point.
Which is,
The quality of your prompts. That is the single biggest factor in whether that whole conversation is successful or just meh.
so bad prompts mean you're barely scratching the surface.
You really are. You're not tapping into what these complex models can actually do.
Okay, so based on that, what is it about ChatGPT's design, its architecture, that makes it different from other chatbots out there? Because there are loads.
Sure.
And maybe more importantly, how do those differences emphasize why we need to be so careful with our prompts for this tool specifically?
Good point. The book points out a few key things that tie directly into prompting strategy. First, just the sheer size of its huge language model. That's a game changer.
How so?
ChatGPT can understand and respond in ways that feel much more human-like. It's not just spitting out pre-programmed answers like some older bots. So your prompt can be more nuanced. It can actually pick up on subtle meanings, hopefully.
And it learns too, right? That's the really mind-bending part for me.
It does. It has this ability to learn from conversations, well, not your specific chat, but generally from interactions refining its responses through machine learning. So interactions can feel more personalized, more relevant over time.
So it gets better at understanding us.
Essentially, yes. Better at understanding human language patterns. And the last thing is its ability to handle more complex, sort of open-ended conversations. Because it gets context better, it can tackle a wider range of topics and give you more structured, in-depth answers.
Which is where good prompting really pays off.
Exactly. That's where you guide it to deliver that depth.
That flexibility makes it useful for so many things. The book lists customer service, education, information, personal assistant tasks, even just social chat.
Yeah, the range is broad.
But instead of just listing them, let's think about how getting good at prompts really changes things in those areas. How does it make the AI go from useful to, like, indispensable?
Okay, let's take customer service. Instead of just a basic FAQ bot, right? With the right prompts, you can make ChatGPT act almost like a highly trained human agent, available 24/7,
Ow.
providing real-time, quite nuanced support, maybe even resolving tricky issues, because your prompt tells it to be that agent. You set the tone, the knowledge base, the problem-solving approach. It's not just giving info, it's embodying a role.
So the prompt defines the role and the task.
Exactly. And the book really emphasizes that. Well-defined prompts are what drive engaging, useful conversations. They keep it on track, make sure it covers what you need.
Okay, so that's the main message. Get your prompts right. And the book breaks down effectiveness into 3 pillars. What's the first one?
First is clarity. Use clear language. Be concise. Be specific. Avoid jargon or phrasing that's ambiguous, that could mean multiple things. You want to make sure ChatGPT gets your intent spot on.
Right. Because humans, we can often figure out vague stuff from context, but AI, not so much. If it's ambiguous, it might just guess.
Exactly. It works on patterns, probabilities. If your prompt is fuzzy, the AI might latch on to the most common interpretation, or just make a leap and you end up with something totally irrelevant. Clarity for AI means being really explicit, maybe more explicit than we'd be talking to another person.
Okay, clarity. Pillar 1, what's next?
Pillar 2 is focus. Your prompt needs a clear purpose, a clear direction. This guides the conversation, stops it from wandering off into the weeds, keeps it productive.
Yeah, that makes total sense. If I don't even know what I want, how can I expect the AI to figure it out?
Precisely. And the third pillar.
Let me guess. Relevance.
You got it. Relevance. Prompts need to be directly relevant to what you need right now in this conversation. Avoid throwing in unrelated stuff that just distracts or confuses the AI about its main job. Keep it aligned with your goal.
Clarity, focus, relevance. Okay, so if you actually do this, if you put in the effort to make your prompts clear and concise, what are the immediate benefits? What do you actually see improve?
You see it straight away.
Yeah.
First, improved understanding. The AI gets what you want, so the responses are way more accurate and relevant.
Makes sense.
Then, enhanced focus. The conversation stays on topic, gets to the point quicker, saves you time and frustration.
Definitely need that.
And finally, just greater efficiency. You cover the key points you need to cover without rambling. It's about getting the right answer faster and more reliably.
Okay, let's make this concrete. The book gives some examples of good versus bad prompts. They really highlight the difference.
They do.
So an effective one they give is, what are the best restaurants in Paris that serve vegetarian food? Clear, specific, relevant, not much room for error there.
Exactly. Now compare that to a weak one, like, what can you tell me about the world?
Yeah, where would it even start?
Right. It's just overwhelmingly broad, gives the AI almost nothing solid to work with. It's like walking into a library and asking the librarian for a book.
Useless. And another bad one they mentioned was, can you help me with my homework?
Yeah, I mean, the intent is clear, but it's way too open-ended. Which homework? What subject? What do you need help with? The AI would just have to ask you more questions.
So you waste time clarifying instead of getting help. The book also digs into these principles of clear communication, clarity, conciseness, relevance, but specifically warns against using jargon.
Yes, and it gives a great bad example of this. Something like, hey there, can you give me some intel on the interwebs? I'm trying to get a handle on the zeitgeist.
Oh dear. Interwebs and zeitgeists.
Exactly. The slang, the vagueness. It's totally ineffective. ChatGPT would likely stumble, give you something super generic, or just ask what you mean. It's trying to process language, not decode niche slang.
But then they contrast it with a good example, which is basically that Paris restaurant prompt again, but with added context.
Right. What are the best restaurants in Paris that serve vegetarian food? I'm planning a trip to Paris, and I'm looking for some good places to eat that cater to my dietary needs.
Much better.
It's so much better. It's crystal clear, specific, and that little bit of extra context, I'm planning a trip, dietary needs, helps the AI understand the why behind the question. That leads to a much more tailored, useful answer.
That specificity is key, which kind of leads us nicely into the more advanced stuff, right? The techniques for really taking control.
Absolutely. The book lays out a pretty clear 4-step way to build really effective prompts.
Okay, what are the steps?
First, identify the purpose and focus. Nail down what you actually want to achieve. What's the goal?
Step 1. Know thyself, or at least thy goal.
something like that.
Yeah.
Second, use specific and relevant language. Precision matters. No wishy-washy words.
Got it. Be direct.
Third, avoid those open-ended or super broad prompts. Keep the AI locked onto your target.
Stay focused.
And fourth, simple but crucial, review and revise. Before you hit enter, just reread your prompt. Doesn't make sense. Is it clear? A quick check can save a lot of hassle.
Review and revise. Good advice for any writing, really.
True. And they use a good example, planning a family trip to Rome with young kids.
Right. Instead of just asking, tell me about Rome.
You'd use the steps. Identify the purpose. Family-friendly Rome attractions for young kids. Use specific language. Suitable for families, young children, aged 5–10, interactive elements, open spaces. Avoid being broad. Review it, so you end up with a prompt like, can you recommend some tourist attractions in Rome suitable for families with young children, say aged 5–10? We're looking for historical sites, but ones that are engaging for kids, maybe with interactive stuff or places to run around.
See, that gives the AI so much more to work with, sets clear boundaries.
Exactly. It helps it deliver exactly what you need.
Now, beyond just writing that initial prompt, the book talks about guiding the whole conversation. It's more than just the first line.
Oh, definitely. It's an ongoing process. You start strong, clear, concise prompts, obviously, but then encourage ChatGPT to elaborate. Ask follow-up questions.
Like peeling an onion.
Kind of, yeah. Get more detail with each layer. Also, be mindful of your tone and language. Aim for respectful, maybe professional, depending on the task. Even though it's AI, a consistent tone helps it maintain the style you want in its replies.
Keep the tone consistent.
And, maybe most importantly, monitor and adjust. If the conversation starts drifting off course, gently steer it back. Ask a clarifying question. Reiterate your goal.
Stay in the driver's seat.
Pretty much.
Okay, now this next technique the book covers, the act as hack. I found this really interesting. It seems like a massive lever you can pull. Can you explain why giving ChatGPT a specific persona changes its output so much? Maybe give a quick example someone could use right away.
Yeah, this is honestly one of the most powerful tricks in the book. It works because it fundamentally changes the AI's internal context. It primes it. When you say act as an English translator, you're not just giving it a task.
You're giving it a job title.
Sort of. You're telling it to adopt a specific mindset, pull on a specific part of its knowledge, use a certain tone, stick to certain rules. It stops being a general-purpose chatbot and starts embodying that role.
Ah, so it filters its knowledge and style through that persona.
Precisely. Which leads to responses that are way more engaging, more immersive, and often much more accurate for that specific task. It can even simulate real-world scenarios pretty effectively.
And the book lists tons of examples. Act as an English translator and improver, act as an interviewer, plagiarism checker, stand-up comedian, psychologist.
AI-assisted doctor, mid-journey prompt generator. The list goes on. It shows the incredible range.
Let's break one down to see how the details work. The book uses act as a JavaScript console. How does that prompt actually instruct the AI?
Okay, so it starts really simply. I want you to act as a JavaScript console. Clear role definition.
Step 1, the role.
Then it defines the interaction. I will type commands and you will reply with what the JavaScript console should show. This sets up the back and forth, the simulation.
Okay, so it knows how the conversation should flow.
Exactly. But then come the crucial constraints. I want you to only reply with the terminal output inside one unique code block and nothing else.
Yeah.
Do not write explanations. Do not type commands unless I instruct you to do so.
Wow, that's specific. Why are those bits so important?
They prevent the AI from doing what it normally does, being chatty, explaining things, maybe guessing the next command. It forces it to only mimic the console output, exactly as requested. It dictates the format and, crucially, the boundaries of the output.
No extra fluff.
None. And it even tells the user how to step out of the simulation if needed. When I need to tell you something in English, I will do so by putting text inside curly blocks like this. Then it gives the first actual command, like console.log, hello world.
That's amazing. It's like writing a tiny program for the AI, telling it exactly how to behave. It really shows how you can take detailed control.
That's why the act as hack is so effective. You're providing this whole behavioral context, not just asking a simple question.
But even with cool techniques like that, you can still mess up, right? Powerful tools often have pitfalls. The book points out some common mistakes.
Oh yeah, definitely things to watch out for. A big one is overloading the prompt. Just stuffing way too much information or too many requests into one go.
Makes it confused.
Totally. It struggles to figure out what the main point is. Then there's using jargon or ambiguous language. We talked about that the AI might just misunderstand you.
Right, clarity again.
Being too vague or open-ended makes it really hard for ChatGPT to give you something focused. Can't read your mind.
Needs clearer direction.
And finally, forgetting necessary instructions or constraints. If you don't set the rules, especially for complex tasks, you might get something way off topic or just unhelpful. You haven't given it the guardrails.
Okay, so how do we avoid falling into those traps? How do we keep things clear and controlled?
Well, it comes back to those core principles. Use specific, targeted questions. Be concise. Sometimes cutting words forces you to be clearer. Use simple, straightforward language. Avoid that jargon.
Basics, but important.
And the book really hammers this home. Always start with a clear goal. Maybe use transition words or phrases within your prompt to guide the AI's logic. Be realistic about what ChatGPT can actually do. Don't ask for the impossible.
Manage expectations.
Yeah, and always test and debug your prompts. If the first try isn't right, don't just give up. Figure out why it didn't work and tweak it. Refine.
Iterate.
Exactly. And of course, using that act as hack can itself be a great way to enforce clarity by locking the AI into a specific mode.
And what about when things just go wrong? Like the AI just doesn't understand or gives really generic answers or ignores your instructions. What are the first troubleshooting steps?
The book suggests starting simple, the technical stuff. Check your internet connection, maybe try a different browser, just rule out basic issues.
The turn it off and on again of AI prompting?
Maybe. Beyond that, try testing the model with a few different prompts. Is the issue happening with everything, or just that one tricky prompt? That helps isolate the problem.
Is it me or is it the AI?
Kind of. Look for error messages, if there are any. And don't underestimate online communities or forums. Lots of people share tips and solutions. It's about systematically diagnosing where things went wrong.
Okay, that makes sense. It's clear these principles aren't just theoretical. They apply everywhere. The book has case studies showing this in action.
They really bring it to life.
Let's touch on one or two. How does focus prompting work for, say, improving language skills?
Right, so the goal isn't just getting a definition, it's active practice. So instead of just, what does ephemeral mean? A much better prompt using these ideas might be, act as an English language tutor. First, explain the meaning of the word ephemeral. Then, give me 3 example sentences using it with different levels of difficulty. Finally, ask me a question where I need to use ephemeral in my own sentence.
Wow, okay. That transforms it from a dictionary into an interactive tutor.
Exactly. It pushes the AI beyond just giving information to facilitating active, personalized learning. You're harnessing it as a tool for practice.
That's a huge difference. And what about something like generating content?
Similar idea. The goal is clear, create content, but the prompts get really specific about how. For instance, act as a professional marketing copywriter. Write 3 short, catchy headlines for a new, eco-friendly smart home gadget. Target busy parents and focus on the benefits for them. Make the tone inspiring, but also a little bit funny.
So you're guiding the creativity.
You are. You're leveraging the AI not just for words on a page, but for a specific style, tone, and purpose by giving it that clear role and those creative constraints.
What strikes me is that even though learning a language and writing marketing copy are totally different, the core techniques are the same. Clear goals, specific instructions, relevant context, and often that act as framework.
That's exactly the point. That's the core takeaway. And the book's real-world examples really drive this home. Think about having it act as an English translator and improver, getting not just the translation, but tips to make it sound better.
Or act as an interviewer for practice.
Right. Or a travel guide, or even manipulating data like an Excel sheet based on your commands. Each one shows how detailed, precise prompts lead to tailored, successful results. It's not just about getting an answer anymore.
It's about getting the right answer in the right way for what you need.
Precisely.
So wrapping this up, what does all this mean for us, for you listening, as we try to navigate this world of AI tools that's changing so fast?
Well, I think the main thing is that mastering prompt engineering, really getting good at it, is the absolute key to unlocking what ChatGPT and tools like it can really do.
It turns it from a cool toy into a powerful instrument.
Exactly. A specialized instrument you can tune perfectly to what you need. It stops being just about getting quick answers and starts being about having a truly productive conversation, one that helps you, gives you clarity, and uses these amazing systems properly. And honestly, it makes you a better communicator overall, not just with AI.
So the call to action for everyone listening is get practicing.
Yeah. Apply these ideas. Write prompts. See what works, what doesn't. Get feedback if you can. Look at what others in the AI community are doing. There's so much shared learning happening. Experiment. It's definitely an evolving skill.
A skill worth developing.
Absolutely. And here's maybe a final thought to chew on. As you get better at communicating with AI, how might that change not just how you do tasks, but how you actually think, how you approach problems?
Learning to be clear with an AI forces you to be clearer in your own head first.
Could be. When you have to articulate your goal perfectly for a machine, you often end up understanding it better yourself. It's a skill that might just rivel outwards beyond the keyboard.
That's a really powerful note to end on. And if you want to dive deeper into AI, learn more, find tools, maybe even explore how AI can help financially, you should visit easymasterai.com.
That's easymasterai.com. Check it out.